So thanks for having me, guys. My name is Natasha, and I'm seeing some familiar faces, like Joel, I remember. And then I think I heard a lot about Liu. You're Liu, right? This is the first time I met you. Yeah, and I'm excited to be here. So I've been invited down by Naicheng, and I also spoke to Winnie. And I hope as much as possible I can provide some value today. But I'll do a proper introduction of myself so you guys know a little bit more context. If anything, okay, so this is a little bit about my background. So I joined the career when I was 21. Okay, the person who brought me to the business actually is sitting all the way at the back. She's the female at the back. She's called Reina. So she's my director, and seated beside her is her husband, also my director in the past lah. Yeah, so later, the reason why I also pointed them out, right, is because I have to thank them for being here today. Because everything that I'm going to share, actually majority of it I've learned from them lah. Yeah, so before I joined the career, I was working full time at Zook, but I was doing marketing, so day job. Okay, and I run 100% warm market, so I'm aware some of you guys here, y'all do quite a bit of cold, right? Yeah, actually I'm curious, can I have a raise of hands? Who here does cold market? Okay, some of y'all. Okay, so the rest all do warm lah, presuming. Okay, so I'm with Advisors Alliance Group, and MDRT wise I've done it for the last 3 years, last year. And following last 2 years. Okay, so today I will just take some time to share a little bit more about myself. But firstly, to break the ice last. Okay, I will just share 3 statements. Okay, you have to guess which one is the truth. So it'll be 1 truth, 2 lies. Okay, so the first statement is my first job was at McDonald's. Okay, that's the first statement. Okay, second statement is I was born overseas in Sweden. And the third statement is I've been part of a TV show before. Okay, so you all guess, okay, who think the first statement is the correct answer, the truth? Nobody can answer McDonald's. Okay, second one, who thinks, right, I was born in Sweden? Okay, I see a raise of hand. So everybody else think I've been on a TV show. Okay, so naturally. Yeah, so sweet. Anyway, right, all of you are right. Because fun fact, everything also correct. All truth. Okay, so just a little bit of fun fact about myself. Yeah, so also thought that today, before I carry on to this, I will just share a little bit more about my journey regarding like my first year and some initial struggles I had, and of course like what are some of my best practices today in a 100% warm market lah. And I hope it will maybe be more relevant to the new ones. Frankly, I'm a bit nervous also because right, I knew before I came here, a lot of you are 老jiaos. Some of you talk AIAFA one, so I'm a bit worried lah, but it's okay, I try my best. Okay, but anyway, does anyone know what a squishy is? Have you all seen this before? Never, okay. It's a collectible lah. Okay, why I put this up here? Because right, this was the first business I ever ran when I was just 12 years old. A sort of business. Yeah, so when I was 12, in primary 6, I will buy a bulk of this. Buy for $1 each. Then I will bring to class, right, I distribute, and I sell for $1.50. Not bad, 50% profit margin. Yeah, so I remember before recess, half of my stock, right, I sold already. Then I happened to tell this girl, like she was called Germaine, I still remember very vividly. Then she asked me, hey Nat, actually how much you buy this for? I told her, I stupid lah, shouldn't say right, but I told her I buy for $1. Then the entire recess, right, she go tell the whole class that I'm a scammer. Wow. So that was my first mistake on my first lesson with sales. Don't be too honest lah. Okay. Yeah, so subsequently, in my head, right, I blacklist her already. I never sell to her ever again. Okay, but that was then. So I moved on also. So a little bit of background. My first job was at McDonald's when I was 13. My first part-time job lah. And then subsequently down the line, from all the way, as long as I can remember, I've always been working part-time. In H&M, I also got NTUC before. Then some brands maybe you're familiar with. My internship was at Turner Broadcasting, which is where like Cartoon Network, Warner Bros, they all have their... It's all under Turner Broadcasting. Yeah. So I think it was quite a fun experience. Okay, on top of doing all these part-time jobs, I think as I share more, right, you all might see a little bit clearer. How come I eventually joined this line? Yeah, because as I was running through all my part-time jobs, I was also doing little ventures here and there. So online, I will be selling collectibles. I'll be selling things like slime, and I think most recently, I actually started a lip gloss business. This was right before I RNF. So before RNF, when I was working full time at Zook, I was running this as well. Okay, you can see over here, the lady in the middle, that's Reina. That's how she support my business. Okay, so how did I even come across this line? Okay, so that's where, at 20 years old, at the point I was 20 years old, I was working full time, okay, and then in the day I will also be juggling my online business. So at night, this is where I would be training to get my FA license. So training, when I say training, what I was referring to is taking papers, and of course like going out to have your first appointments. But of course no proposal because at that point I wasn't licensed. Okay, so back to my first touch point of the business. Okay, when I was 19, I actually reached out to an agent. Okay, because I had seen there was some marketing done, somebody tagged her, and there was some adulting book that I was quite keen on. Right? Because the reason why I even worked so hard in the first place is because I was trying to save up to go overseas uni. I knew I needed about $100,000 to save up on my own. So I knew I couldn't do this alone, I needed some guidance, and that was where I seeked help from Reina at the back. Okay, so long story short, I became a client when I was 19, a few days before I turned 20. Okay, and I think a few months later, she actually reached out to me. I guess she saw something in me. Okay, I hope. Yeah, so she reached out to me, and that was when she had asked me if I had thought about doing anything. She asked me if I thought about doing something related to investments, learning and becoming more competent to manage portfolios. So long story short, at that point, it was October of 2020. I was not 21 yet. Okay, I was born in 2000, so I will only turn 21 the following April. Okay, I took a few months. I went down to Advisors Alliance Group, and I think from there, it gave me a pretty good impression also of the industry. Fortunately, she was my agent. I think she gave me a very good taste of what proper financial advisory is. Yeah, the plan I did up with her was only a 200 a month APA. It's not a lot. Okay, but I think the servicing that she showed me and my family was something that I was quite impressed by. Mother's Day, everything, she will still send down flowers, bird nests to my own mum. Although I was just a very small client. Okay, so early beginnings. Of course, I explored since 2020. I only took my RNF in July after I turned 21, and in between I also had to quit my job. So this was my preparation phase. Okay, my preparation phase included a lot of late nights, going out to meet people, learning how to do presentations, learning a bit about products also, right? And I guess taking my papers is one. So there was a lot of high anticipation because at that point when I'm 21, I knew compared to all my peers, right, I was one of the earliest to join. So at that point, I think in 2021, not a lot of people joined yet. So you can see my activity, I tried to keep it very, very high. Before RNF, I was already out meeting people. In a month, maybe I'll meet like 80 people, 80 appointments. Okay, and what about after I RNF? Okay, right after RNF, I also had about 80 plus appointments a month. And all these are 100% warm. So I reach out to my peers and then I'll talk to them. Then I guess you guys might be wondering, how did I do? Okay, so in the first 5 months of my business, I didn't do what I wanted to do, which was to clear my MDRT. I was about halfway there. So for myself, although my activity very, very high, right, but my results never show. And I think that was quite a setback for me in terms of I do so much, but how come the results not showing? So it's a little bit discouraging, okay? But I think it also forced me to really look at my situation and assess, right, what could have been done better. Okay, and I think if I look at it, what were my first few months like? Okay, truth is, there were times I would skip meetings, I would skip trainings, I would sleep late, and then I never do my summaries. So in AAG, we have a very strong culture where we will always be writing down our learnings. Yeah, regardless of the senior we speak to, if you attend joint field work, or if you go for any division meetings, we will always take down our learnings and we'll share with each other. Yeah, so that's when I didn't plan my day also. I think it's important, when you are coming into the industry for the first time, right? You have to know what to expect. You have to set down a baseline, right? Because yes, we are given time freedom in the line, but if we abuse it, then it's not going to turn out well. Okay, so that was some of the first few struggles. Yeah, and I realized also what were my biggest problems back then. A lack of ready network. At that point, 21 years old, a lot of my peers are in NS, a lot of them are studying, they don't have that much capital. Yes, you can do planning, but it's also quite limited. right? So very hard for me to get any breakthrough if I don't expand out of my existing network. And I think next thing was also self-belief, right? Because at that point, you will see like quite a lot of people who are doing quite well even when they are younger in the business, and that made me think like, wow, is that I'm not good enough, right? And I guess a lot of negative thoughts will creep in, right? When you are still younger in the business, and you get easily influenced. Because when you just come in, right, maybe you will think like, oh, success minimum is MDRT. That was my thinking at that point. Okay, and there were also personal distractions such as sleeping late, etc. Okay, and I guess with that, the first full year when I transitioned into January, from July to January, after 6 months, 5 months in, okay, it was the immediate realization, okay, wow, it's not going to be that easy, right? And what next? So, what did my first full year look like? My first full year, I was trying to find ways, right, to tackle my network problem. So I was going out of my way to go and meet people who are in their 30s, their 40s through social networking. Right? Because fortunately, I had some access to older friends from my previous jobs who had access to this group of people. So I'll go out there, I'll find a place to nest, could be like a restaurant, could be like a bar, whatever that is. If they got any housewarming, I will also go. Right? I'll make myself available so that I can really spread my wings. Okay, although it was very uncomfortable, because you put a 20 plus, 21 year old beside like 30 plus year old, what kind of conversations can they have? Yeah, at that point, still new okay? So, I think one of the biggest takeaways I had in that year, I had a very relatively slow year at the beginning, okay, but I did ask a senior of mine, who's also a TOT producer at that point, and he shared me this, which I think resonated quite deeply with me. A lot of us, when we think of final sprint, do we associate it with last minute? We associate it with like December, November, then we chiong in the last quarter, right? So he told me that it's not defined by time, but rather it's defined by our state of mind. Okay, why it's powerful to me is because I realized any point of the year, doesn't have to be December, you can already enter this state of mind, as long as you're aware. So that was where I had to reframe my mind, and of course, I learned a lot of things so that I could learn better things, okay, that would serve me better. Yeah, so there was a few trigger points also for myself as to what led me to clearing my first MDRT, my first full year. Okay, at 22, I was telling myself, wow, this is something very important, because my first full year, who don't want to clear MDRT, right? But at the same time, with certain setbacks or certain self-limiting beliefs, I found it a bit difficult, right? And I think one of the events happened specifically on 18 November, I remember very clearly. Okay, at this point, what was my progress to my MDRT? I was left with 30%. So I did 70% in 11 months. I got another 30% to clear in less than 1.5 months. So it almost seemed like an impossible task. Okay, and then my friend, happened so I was in a group setting. My friend asked me this question, not even from the industry. He asked me, have you cleared your MDRT? Then I look at my friend. The honest truth is I haven't. So I just said, oh, no, I haven't cleared. Wow. Then my friends, he only had one reaction. So he only said one word to me, which left me quite shocked. Okay, he just said this one word. He said, useless. Wow, it's damn ouch. Okay, for someone who was aspiring to clear my first MDRT, and wow, it really seemed like such a big hurdle to overcome. I think that was something that took at my pride quite a bit. So he said useless, I stunned you. Then I thought about it, I had to compose myself. Why would you call me useless? Okay, so I think at that point it affected me quite a bit. I remember being quite upset, okay, and I even went to text my friend. I asked her, hey, wow, this person called me useless, say I never MDRT. I'm like, I'm gonna cry really. And long story short, I actually cried. So I even went downstairs to take a chill pill. I went to call Melvin, who's at the back. And I told him, wow, someone called me useless. Then I was damn sad. And I was just like, but I think that also sparked a very deep fire within me. Okay? I mean, I'm sure you all are exposed to Enneagram, right? If you are exposed to Enneagram, I'm a type 3 so it really tickled the fire in me, okay? And I think at that point, this fire lit up in me where I was telling myself, wow, I need to prove this person wrong. But more importantly, I needed to prove that I could do it, regardless of what others think. And that was when this was something, a quote that was shared by Melvin, okay, which stuck with me very deeply even after so many years. Okay, discipline is about choosing what you want most over what you want now on a daily basis. So with that, my next 1.5 months that I had, I started with absolutely zero pipe. No pipe at all. Okay, but I knew I had to get it done. So that was where I ramped up and I controlled what I could control, which was my activity levels. So the last month of December, I chionged 64 appointments, and on the last day, 31st December, I was on a call with the BDM, already in Europe, calling BDM right to rush for my case. Okay, that was the last case I needed for my MDRT, and I did it lah. So I guess good job to me at that point. Oh yes, so long story short, right? I actually met this person 1-2 years ago, and I told this person, hey, you know, thanks to you, I tried my first MDRT. But the person don't remember this conversation. So right, long story short, you cannot take rejection too personally. People don't remember. Yeah. Then of course, you don't have to maintain work-life balance, right? So every weekend, the purple color thing on you see is me going club, just to relax, to enjoy. Otherwise, I stuck myself at home, I just zoom. Yeah. Okay, so this time, yeah, I managed to clear it. Okay, so now I'll just move on to a learning framework that I downloaded when I was at IDA conference. I knew some of y'all went, right? Who went to last year's IDA? A few of y'all? So last year's IDA, I downloaded this idea somewhere. It's a learning framework that I thought would be very, very useful to apply to our business. Right, so we look at these 4 segments. Supply management, of course, refers to, when you start a shop, say you open a burger shop, okay, what you need to see in your supply? You need to see enough burgers so that you can go and sell it. Okay, but for us, our supply management comes from people, which are leads here. But how do we continuously ensure that we have enough leads to go back and go and farm this group of people? Okay, next thing is creating interest. Once we have this group of people, how can we go back to create interest so that we are able to identify what problems they have, and of course, are we able to fact find enough? Give them a unique proposition that will capture their interest, right, and allow us to meet them again. Yeah, and of course, once we collect enough fact find, we know enough of their hot buttons, we know what are some of their problems, right? That's where we can go back to a perfect presentation to, of course, deliver a solid pitch so that they will know why their life is better off with our solutions. Yeah, then of course, we move on to mindset. Yeah, I think mindset will be present throughout all that. Okay, in order to, we cannot do the same things and expect different results. So in order for us to learn new things, we have to be able to let go of old beliefs, right? So that we have space to fill up new beliefs and that can bring us to a better place. Okay, but for today, I will just share more on one aspect which I think is very, very important. And I think some people may be wondering also, if you are doing warm market, okay, you might be wondering, how do I continuously supply, increase my supply? How do I continuously keep people in this list that I can always go back to? Okay, I think that is the most important thing lah. No supply, then you got perfect presentation, also nobody to pitch to, right? So some of my best practices throughout the years that I've come up to do, I think the first one would be on targeted prospecting. Okay, so when I refer to targeted prospecting, I'll do a lot of tracking, I'll do a lot of listing down of prospects. Does anybody track here? Do you all track your sales? Right, so at all points, right, you all should be tracking your sales. Okay, tracking who are your people, right, to go and meet. Right, if you have an Excel, you got something more detailed to list down, I think that would be best. Right, and if you all have gone to IDA, they also share on the concept of 定言. You all familiar with 定言? So 定言is knowing how to profile and classify your leads, right, from A to B to C to D. What do each segmentation mean, right? D will refer to people who are just in your network. Maybe 10 years never meet, 10 years never talk to you, but you have their number. Okay. C will be people who have their number. Maybe they will sometimes reply you, but may not be super close. Okay. Then for people who are in your B, these are people who like you enough. They are willing to meet you. They are willing to talk to you. But whether they'll be your client or not, you don't know. Right? People in A will be bloody best. They love you. They will support you, and you know, right? High chance they'll be your client one. Not just your client, but they will also refer you. Okay, when you are able to have this group of A, B, C, and D, you are able to also plan out better how you want to outreach to this group of people. And that brings you to targeted prospecting with almost a scary accuracy. You can predict, right, people in A, B, C, or E, how likely are they going to be your clients, and that brings you a lot more predictability to your pipeline. So every person I put down, right, even if I haven't met them yet, I roughly know what I'm gonna try and angle in, or what are some things I'm gonna speak to with them about. Okay, so just a simple example. When I talk about targeted prospecting, for example, there was this girl from my secondary school, right, and I happened to acquire, it's a clique of girls, so I managed to acquire 2 of them as my clients. And there was the last person who I was not close to at all. I would classify her as like C or D. But I knew, because I planned for 2 other clique members, and I think I did a fairly good job. If they were to check with each other, right, they will say good things. So this is where I name dropped, where I just told, hi, XXX, I'm from the school, secondary school. Sorry if it's a bit random, and after not staying in touch for so long, but I've been meaning to reach out to you after meeting X and X recently. So I purposely name drop. And when I name drop, it was also intentional in the sense that I already informed these 2 people. Hey, I'll be reaching out to Si Ying. If they will ask you anything, how we put in a good word, okay? So what happens here? How come from this C to D can shift up to like an A? She eventually did plan with me. Yeah, so what's the difference here is, of course, when you're able to name drop, you are borrowing credibility, right? It's borrowed trust. Because this girl doesn't trust me, but she trusts her 2 friends. Right? So if you look in your network, I'm pretty sure if you all go think hard enough, right, there will be mutual connections you all can reach out to one, right? Especially if you have existing clients. Yeah. So every touch point was planned. And I think that also brings me to my second best practice, okay, which is planning for every appointment. It might seem a bit crazy, but anybody here attended MDRT conference last year? Anybody went? No, okay, it was in US. So I had one very, very big takeaway from Tim Grover. Tim Grover is Michael Jordan's coach. So he shared this thing and he told us that to be just enough, to be just prepared, it means to over-prepare. If you're just prepared, right, you're not going to be prepared one. Yeah, so I think that was something that I took quite personally, and I realized also what helped me to bring every case, bring it more certainty. Okay, is when I plan every single step, all the way from hello to the actual close. Right, so from my outreach all the way to the end, I already know what I was going to say, who is this person, and of course what are some things, right, I can ask to go and create certain interest, and to find out what are some of the problems that they might face, to understand what is their phase of life right now. And I think from there, I will also go and think, hey, this person, I mean, we roughly know after a few years in the business, this person fresh graduate, this person pre-retiree, we roughly know what are the common objections. But how often are we prepared enough when we meet these people? Especially if you're newer, then that's when you want to be familiarized. What I will do is I'll have a channel, I'll type down all my case studies inside. Even today, it's a practice that I do. Right? I meet an expert for the first time. I'll write down, these are some objections, right, and expect my face. How do I get these insights? I go and ask my seniors. So one round, ask them, they had experience, so this is where I borrow their experience. Okay, then that's where the best objection, the best thing to do before objection handling, right, is pre-objection handling. Before they even bring up, you already address their concern. I think that helps you to get the close a lot better. Okay, so other thing that I also do, I only implemented this last year, but I think so far it's been working out quite well for me. I actually downloaded this idea when I was at MDRT. I'm not so sure which speaker sparked this idea, but the idea is to create an emergency contact project, okay, for all my clients. So I'll just gamify it a little bit, I'll design something very nice, I'll put your face in, every client will just change the photo can already, no need too effort, okay, but you print out, you'll feel like, wow, very special, okay. So when you meet them, of course, when you look at financial planning, it is an ecosystem. Today it's not just about planning for your client, it's making sure that their friends around them, their family around them also well protected. Because why? Today you can invest a lot of money with me, but if your mother, father need money, and they got something wrong, right, you also have to help them on. So why not I solve that problem for you first? Make sure that they are well planned for, so everything right around you, perfect. Okay? Not just that, Okay, I also will let them know that whatever it is today as an agent, I will be your point of contact. Today you're doing insurance with me. If there's an emergency at work, right? If there's an emergency at home, and you need to go hospital, touch wood, then your colleagues should know I'm the touch point, right? Just in case you're uncontactable. Okay, so this is where I will just do a reach out to their close friends and colleagues. So you can see some of the things I put down, for example, preferred medical provider, realtor or legal partners, their primary emergency, secondary emergency, work emergency 1, work emergency 2, the trusted friend 1 and trusted friend 2. So immediately, right, I gain access to maybe their top 5 to 10 closest people already. So I also ask them to highlight who are the closest people to them, and I'll make sure I reach out to all these people. So from one client straight away, on average, right, I get about 5 to 10 more names from doing this. Okay? Before I carry on, any questions on this? Okay, so another thing that I have been running, in fact, this is something I think I've been running for the longest time since I just started in business all the way. I think it works very, very well for fresh graduates, young adults, professionals, who just started out working. This is where I come up with an elevated adulting edition. I myself, for those who I've already spoken to quite a lot of people, you all can easily just say I spoke to more than 300 people, more than 1,000 people, just want to come and value add. So I will list out a lot of common topics. I mean, these things can change. You can change them according to what you are good at. It could be private property, saving for their first home, first milestones, or even like credit cards, or escaping sandwich generation, or even smart parenting. How do we save for children's education? Okay, and how do we reduce insurance premiums, or even generate your first million? So these are topics that people will be very, very keen to know about. Okay, and when I reach out to friends, I will always offer them an exit. Okay, so I always end off with, don't paise, you want to say no. These are to my warm friends lah. And the reason why I say that is so that it's easy for them to turn me down. Because ultimately my job is to make them feel comfortable around me. Right? Doesn't mean I prospect you have to meet me lah. Although I know some people when we prospect, we may be a little bit more aggressive. We'll do alternate close. For next Monday, next Tuesday work better for you. Which you can also do, but my style is a little bit different in that sense. Okay? And I think the reality is, these are some stats I put out. I don't think it's new to some of you guys here. Okay, 80% of our sales, they require an average of at least 5 follow-ups. But almost half of us, we stop at just 1 follow-up. Right? And a lot of people think that, if I reach out to the people today, right, they have to do planning me now. If they don't want, then never mind, no chance really. But our job, if you realize, every year, right, is to go back to the same individual, ask them at least one time. And we catch them when they are in the right state of mind to do planning. But we cannot force them to be in the right stage of life to do planning with us. If they know money, then they really know money. But eventually, these people also need progress. They need to start working. And down the line, they are also going to get job promotions. Their mindset now, they might think insurance not important. They might think investing now not important. But 1 year from now, something in between could have changed. Their environment could have changed. Right? Their financial situation could have changed. And all these things will, of course, change their mindset. And our job is to make sure we are the one asking. If not, it's going to be someone else really. If someone else asks, then too bad. The case is not yours anymore. Okay? And I think also, it is inevitable, okay, when we prospect, we have to expect people to ghost us. Any of y'all gonna ghosted? It's a rite of passage. As Spider-Man says, it's a canon event. So everybody, right, will gonna some form of rejection one. Okay, but when you think about it, right, why will people ghost us? When we send out prospecting text, they don't reply us. Is it because they don't like us as individuals? Also no right? It's the same thing. Today, right, a salon come and text you, one long ass text, tell you they got this promotion. You reply, unlikely. Okay, but is it because you don't like this salon person? No. But rather, it's because people don't know how to reject you. So, when they do not reject you, they're not going to reply because human nature The longer your text the more they need to think you. So that's where my principle is always to end things on a positive note. And I will always follow up, even if they ghost me. Okay, so what I mean, is I will always drop them a text, irregardless of whether they reply me. After every prospecting message, you don't reply me for 1 or 2 days, even 1 week, even 1 month later, you can also text them, no harm. Okay, I'll just say, if you're not open ears, totally fine, have a good weekend. Something simple lah, okay? Number one, this discharges them the obligation to reply you. Number two, this also discharges you the obligation to reply them any further. And what happens? They go back into your thing again. Maybe they are now D or C because they don't really reply you. But if down the line, you send them this, then next time you Instagram reply them or you text them, it's easier to have a normal conversation as opposed to wow, you open up their chat, right, and it's like 10 different texts that you send out and they all never reply you. I think you also paiseh to follow up. Okay, so I think we have to think about it in a bit of a longer term context. Okay, and sometimes I get nice responses. Okay, like example, this girl texted her this and she told me, oh, she wants to know more lah. It's just that she didn't see. Yeah, so we cannot take things too personally lah. Because truth is, who wakes up wanting to do financial planning? Nobody. Even if you prospect them, they think it's quite interesting, but it may not be the biggest priority that they have. Okay, so people might overlook your messages. Just make sure that you are following up lah. Okay, and how do I continue keeping my leads warm? Okay, I look at this business as collecting seeds. So my job is to collect as many seeds as possible, which are your leads lah, right? And I will try my best to plant as many seeds as I can. Some seeds maybe they take 1 year then bloom, 2 years then bloom, 3 years then bloom. Some seeds also dead already. They don't even bloom at all. Okay, why? Because someone else acquired them as client lah. But too bad. Okay, this is just the circle of life in our journey. Okay, what I do to of course make sure my farm is always blooming. My job is, like those games, you plant the thing. You just make sure you go and collect, or then that one feeding you go there and collect. So that's my job. Okay, I keep my leads warm by putting them through broadcast list. Or for people who are a little bit closer to, I'll do social meetups. So we call them non-business appointments. Right? So non-business appointments, I reserve them for people who I think they are reaching a stage where actually now is a good time to look into their planning. But maybe need a little bit of a softer approach in lah. Okay, but broadcast lists are people that I reserve A, B, C, and D. Everybody who falls there, I'll put them in. Okay, and what is a broadcast list? Do you all know? So I think you all will have some kind of system in place where you all can maybe send one message about broadcast to 100, 200 people, 300 people at once. So that is a broadcast list, and what's the importance of it? The importance of it, right, is that if you blast out once a week, at least like, they will see your name once a week. We will stay at the top of your minds. Okay? And I think when the time is right, they will also think of you first. So, anybody wants to know how to double your network with every client? It's not very simple. It only takes 10 minutes. Okay, and I'm pretty sure, right, some of you have done it, but you all maybe never focus on it properly. Everybody here got clients, right? Who here got less than 10 clients? Don't have, right? All should have more than 10 clients, right? Okay, great. So this is something that I incorporate with every my sales advisory. It is a post-sales advisory. Okay, and that is simply nomination. You all do nomination? Yeah, so of course, how do we do nomination, right? Also can influence what kind of leads we get out of nomination. Okay, and why I say nomination, right, is something that I run very, very heavily, because number one is something that is very, very severely underlooked in our industry. Because say real, we don't earn anything from doing it. Right? But at the same time, isn't it the most important step for our clients to have this done up? Usually we insure them for 1 million, but what if they cannot collect? So next thing is when we are able to do nomination, I think we show them that we are sincere about working for them. And I think that's where we also earn their trust. Okay, at the same time, for me, it is a great way to reach out to 2 people who they are closest to, at the very least. Okay, so when we ask for witnesses, okay, a lot of us here don't ever suggest, right, you yourself as a witness. Very long faith, very wasted. Okay, why? Because when we ask them to be for their witness, right, we can actually influence. Today I already know you enough, you're my client, and you know at the rapport stage when you talk to them, you already know their best friend from where, their cousin from working where, their family, maybe high net worth. You already roughly know their circle. So you are then able to influence who you want your witnesses to be. Like for example, I want to reach out to this person's siblings. I'll just tell them, actually most of the time, my clients, I'll suggest they put someone that's close to them. Sometimes my clients, they'll put their siblings. Anyway, who are the 2 witnesses you're likely to put? When I say that and I plant the seed already and I ask them the next question, naturally they will think of their siblings, right? And then they will usually put them down. And next thing is nominees. Most of the time people will nominate their spouse, nominate their family, nominate people that are close to them. Okay, and I'll just let them know, since you're nominating this, I'll need to explain how this impacts them. Okay, simple thing also, I'll position myself a bit differently. If I'm going to do your winners, I'll let them know, do you know what your role as a winners is or not? Actually, it's a very, very important role. So these two people that you choose really must choose properly. Because if ever your nomination is contested, they must go to court and represent you. When you're no longer around, so you must really trust these people. Okay, and it's my job to make sure that these are also the right witnesses for you. Number one, they should be above 21. Number two, you trust them fully with your finances. And number three, they must also be financially savvy and responsible like you. So you already pre-frame what kind of prospect you want to meet next. When you say all these things, I think that helps you to filter quite well. Okay, so in short, what is my process? Every client that I acquire, I will always tell them, this is what we're going to do. In fact, when we are doing payment, I already will prepare a nomination form. Fill up already. Give me your 2 contacts for nomination. What I'll do, by right, everybody needs to sit down together and sign. Okay, but if they are agreeable, I'll just meet them at their convenience. And then again, we already know our job is just really about meeting people. You put yourself in front of a qualified prospect 10 minutes, do you think you have what it takes, right, to create a conversation, to open up something? Could it be doing policy summary? Could it be sharing about some relevant updates? Actually, all these things you also know. Right? But just by doing nomination, we put ourselves out there to meet more people. Again, that's where it allows you to ask for more opportunities. Okay, so moving on to post-sales. Okay, servicing, I think we also do quite a fair bit to give back to our clients. If you are not doing it, it should be something that you are already doing. So, a little bit about my team. I think my team, there are a lot more goals, so we're a little bit more creatively inclined. So we run a lot of different projects. In the past, I've also sent out hot pot to my clients. We've also had, like feng shui workshop, Father Day gift, Mother Day giftings, even like Christmas goodie bags that I'll give my clients. Okay, it doesn't take much. When I first joined the industry, before I even RMF, I wanted to do some servicing, but don't have that much money. So what I do, I go and make my own honeycomb cakes. Then I just make 20 boxes. Give out each person like what, $3-4 only. So it doesn't have to be that expensive, right? Yeah, it's just whether you want to put in the effort or not. And I think servicing has also helped to build a lot of referability, because when people enjoy the service, then they know. Word of mouth, comes very easily. Okay, example, you buy hot pot for your client, cannot be just your client eat, right? The whole family need to eat. Do you think the parents will ask where the hot pot comes from? Naturally, they'll ask. So the next time you go down, then it will be much easier for you to plant certain seeds also. Okay, this one's just a mini activity. Okay, I feel like whatever they all see, right? If you all don't try, you all will never know. Right? And since you all have clients, I don't think you all have done nomination, for example, for all your clients. How about we just take the next 3 minutes or 5 minutes to list down 10 names and attempt one of these projects. Okay, we just take 5 now, okay? Anyway, I shall move on. Hopefully you all found your 10 names. Even like 1 name is better than nothing. Okay, I shall just move on. Actually, I'm coming to the end already. Okay, but in any case, just wanted to put out a reminder. At the end of the day, it is not just a sales business, it's also a people's business. Right? And what is our bottom line? How many people are we meeting and how much value are we creating? Why are we paid so well in our line? It's because of the value that we create. Right? So we are only remunerated because of the value we create. So next question is, who is receiving it? And how much value are you creating? Okay, so just thought this would be relevant, for those who are a little bit slower or have a bit of doubts. March can always be your January if you need a new start this year. So otherwise, thank you. That's all I have.